So that brings us into the second type of conversions. And those are explicit conversions. So like I said before, there is an implicit conversion between integer variables or integer values and float variables. This is all implicit. This is implied. This is built into the language. You can do this all day long. There is no implicit conversion between floats and ints, but there is an explicit conversion. And we specify explicitly to the C# compiler that we want to perform an explicit conversion by using this syntax. This is known as casting. By opening up a parenthesis, putting in a type, and closing a parenthesis, and then following that by an expression, we are explicitly telling the C# compiler we explicitly want, we know the consequences, we know what could potentially happen that would be bad, we know we might lose information, but we don't care about it for some reason, and we want our float to turn into an integer. This is an explicit conversion. So remember, there are, as a rule of thumb, there are implicit conversions between every type in C# that will not result in the loss of information. And there are typically explicit conversions between numeric types that could potentially cause a problem. So there are a variety of other implicit and explicit conversions available in the .NET language. For example, I'm not going to get into that quite yet. But so what we have here is an example of, like I said, an implicit and explicit conversion. That's really about all I can say about that. But now I want to finally answer that question. Why is there an F right there? There's an F right there because this 232.32 is not a float. It is a double literal. So remember, I've talked a lot about literals. We have string literals. We have integer literals. We have double literals. And so on. So, and well, we also have like false, which is a Boolean literal. Because according to the C# specification, any value or any literal that has a decimal place in it is a double literal. That means this 232.32 is not a float, it is a double. And if you guys remember what I've been talking about before, where typically there's always going to be an implicit conversion between two types that will not result in the loss of information, but the same is not true the other way around. The C# compiler says, okay, well, we have a double right here. We know it's a double because it's a 232.32, and per the language specification, this is a double literal. But we're trying to stuff this value into a float. And we, as the C# compiler, know that a double can potentially contain more precision than a float can handle. We will disallow the implicit conversion. Now, I want to point out two things. There's two ways to make this code work. There is an explicit conversion between doubles and floats. By the way, I can prove this is a double literal by hovering my mouse over it. Notice how it says down there in the little pop-up window, struct system.double. What we're doing here is we're saying, okay, we know we have a double value, but we don't care if we lose some precision when converting it to the float, so we will tell the C# compiler explicitly that we want to perform this conversion, and this is an explicit conversion. It's explicit because it's explicit. This is me explicitly telling the C# compiler to do something, and so it's allowing me to do it.